It finally happened. After weeks of tension boiling behind closed doors, late-night rants from furious fans, errant performances so catastrophic they looked like a parody of real football. The Cleveland Browns made the call everyone saw coming, but no one expected this fast. Head coach Kevin Stefanski has been fired, and not with some carefully worded press release or mutual agreement. No, this was a hit job in broad daylight. A 10-minute post-game meeting turned into the end of an era cold, calculated, and way past due. The final straw? A soul-crushing, nationally televised meltdown against the one team everyone had written off, the New England Patriots. A game so embarrassing, so fundamentally broken, that Browns ownership didn't just lose faith, they snapped. But what fans didn't know was how deep the chaos went. What happened in that locker room, on that sideline, and online in the hours that followed wasn't just a regular firing. It was a mutiny. And at the center of it all stands a young quarterback the world's been waiting to see. Because this wasn't just the end of Kevin Stefanski. It might be the beginning of something much bigger. This didn't happen overnight. For weeks, the writing had been on the wall spray-painted, underlined, and screamed through every headset in Cleveland. The stadium chants weren't subtle. The signs in the crowd didn't hold back. And the fans? Before going further, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to smash that subscribe button. It really helps us keep bringing you the content you love. They were done. Every home game turned into an open protest. Start Shatter, signs plastered across the stands. Talk radio stations lit up with fans borderline, begging for anyone to make a move. Social media? An endless stream of memes, roasts, and angry breakdowns of why Dillon Gabriel had no business starting in the NFL. Sports analysts didn't dance around the subject either. Week after week, people on ESPN asked the same question out loud. Why is Stefanski still pushing Gabriel? Inside the team, it wasn't much better. The locker room vibe had shifted into something dangerous, split between frustrated veterans and bitter young talent, watching their careers stall. Coaches looked exhausted, balancing a quarterback controversy that was getting harder to cover up and harder to justify. Meanwhile, Stefanski stood at the podium, game after game, giving the same robotic answers. We need to execute. We have to clean some things up, stay the course. But nobody was buying it anymore. It was like watching a dam about to break. You could feel the pressure building every missed throw, every three, and out, every second. Shedeur Sanders remained helmet in hand on the sideline, while Gabriel fumbled another drive. It was only a matter of time. And then came the disaster in Foxborough. A game so brutal, so publicly humiliating, it didn't just expose the cracks, it shattered the entire foundation of the Browns' season. The New England Patriots, a team widely considered one of the weakest in the league this year, didn't just beat the Browns, they obliterated them, 32-13, on national television, in front of millions. But the scoreboard wasn't the worst part. The real collapse was on the field. Dillon Gabriel looked like a quarterback playing with the lights turned off. 2 interceptions so cartoonishly bad they'd make a rookie blush. One floated directly into the hands of a linebacker standing still like he was waiting for an Uber. The other? A desperation heave into triple coverage, and it wasn't even close. It wasn't just bad execution, it was reckless, inexplicable decision-making. Open receivers waving downfield, arms flailing like they were hailing a cab, and Gabriel sailing passes over their heads, or skipping them straight into the turf like he was throwing rocks into a lake. The offense was completely broken. No rhythm, no identity. Players looked confused, frustrated, dazed, and the cameras caught every second of it. On the sidelines, players were shaking their heads. One receiver got caught mid-eye roll. Myles Garrett, the heart of this defense, sat on the bench, elbows on knees, hands over his helmet like he was trying not to explode. But maybe the most powerful image of all? Shedeur Sanders standing on the sideline. Calm, focused, helmet in hand, watching the collapse unfold and saying absolutely nothing. Like a lion locked in a cage. Still, but ready. While Gabriel unraveled, and Stefanski looked more lost with every possession, Shedeur Sanders stood still, helmet tucked under his arm, eyes locked in on the train wreck unfolding in front of him. He didn't yell, he didn't pout, he didn't even flinch. He just watched. No talking to coaches, no pacing the sideline, just that laser-focused stare like someone who's seen this moment coming for weeks, and now he's just waiting for the rest of the world to catch up. And the fans? They already had. Before the game even ended, Number Start Shedeur was lighting up social media like wildfire. Twitter, Reddit, Instagram fans went straight from disbelief to rage mode. Clips of Gabriel's interceptions were going viral next to highlight reels of Shedeur throwing 60-yard bombs at Colorado. Memes were everywhere. Cleveland's got a Ferrari in the garage, but they're riding a bike into battle. Stefanski's stubbornness is costing the Browns a season, maybe a franchise. Every second Shedeur remained on that sideline felt like an act of sabotage to fans who knew he was the future. The swagger, the football IQ, the bloodline, this wasn't just hype. This felt like letting a storm cloud build up pressure with no way to release it. And inside the building, the silence around Shedeur was loud. He wasn't posting cryptic messages. He wasn't demanding playing time in the media. He was just preparing. Quietly, professionally, like a man waiting for one door to close so he could walk cleanly through the next one. And after that game, after Stefanski's final press conference, that door slammed harder and faster than anyone expected. After the blowout loss in Foxborough, Kevin Stefanski didn't walk into the post-game press conference. He dragged himself in. He looked like a man who had just watched his house burn to the ground with nothing left to salvage. His eyes were glassy, expression stiff, voice hollow. Not angry, not emotional. Just empty. Same script, same robotic lines fans had heard all season. We've got to execute better, need to clean things up, stay focused on fundamentals. But this time, nobody was buying it. The energy in the room was ice cold. Reporters weren't nodding along, they were circling like sharks. The vibe had shifted. This wasn't a post-game Q&A. This felt like a trial. Then came the moment that sealed his fate. One brave reporter finally asked the question, "Coach, do you still believe Dillon Gabriel gives this team the best chance to win?" Everything stopped. Stefanski blinked, glanced left, then right. You could almost hear the gears grinding in his head. His mouth opened, then closed again. Silence stretched for what felt like forever. Reporters shifted in their seats. Cameras clicked. Even the AC vent in the back of the room seemed to go quiet. And finally, after one of the most awkward, career-defining pauses we've ever seen, he mumbled a half-hearted explanation about system fit, consistency, and trusting the process. Nobody believed a single word of it. Not the press, not the fans, not the players watching from the locker room, and most importantly, not Stefanski himself. That was the moment it ended. His face said it all, that distant look in his eyes. He knew it was a wrap. The humiliation, the quarterback disaster, the split locker room, it had all come crashing in. And when the sun came up the next morning, so did the headline Cleveland had been waiting for months. By sunrise, it was done. No leaks, no rumors, just a blunt, cold breaking news alert blinking across every screen. Kevin Stefanski has been fired, effective immediately, not reassigned, not stepping back, not parting ways to pursue new opportunities. Fired. Gone. Cut clean. Reportedly, the meeting lasted less than 10 minutes. Jimmy Haslam and GM Andrew Barry walked into the facility early Monday morning, looked Stefanski straight in the eye, and ended it. No drawn-out deliberation. No emotional goodbyes. They came in with one purpose: pull the plug. And the fans? They lost their minds. The second the news hit, social media detonated. Number Fire Stefanski didn't just trend, it dominated Twitter nationwide. Not just in sports, not just in Cleveland, across everything. Bigger than politics, bigger than entertainment. For one chaotic morning, Browns fans took center stage across the entire country. They'd been waiting for this, begging for this, demanding this. He benched Shatter for this guy? We just got humiliated on live TV by the worst Patriots team in years. Haslam, if this man isn't gone by sunrise, we riot. And then, it happened. And the floodgates didn't just open, they drowned every timeline. National media joined the pile-on. Stephen A. Smith went on a blistering 10-minute rant, calling Stefanski's final performance coaching malpractice of the highest order. Shannon Sharpe didn't hold back either. Cleveland is out here wasting a generational talent and embarrassing themselves weekly. Pat McAfee flat out said it. If this guy keeps his job, the Browns should be checked for brain damage. The message was universal. From fans in Ohio to hosts in New York, from angry tweets to full ESPN segments, firing him wasn't just smart, it was overdue. Long overdue. But behind all the headlines and hashtags, something even wilder was happening inside Browns HQ. Because while the outside world exploded, inside the locker room, players were celebrating. While the public celebrated online, inside the Browns facility, it was something else entirely. This didn't feel like the end of a season. It felt like a prison break. According to multiple insiders, when players found out Stefanski had been fired, they didn't nod quietly or exchange awkward glances. They didn't whisper or pat each other on the back. They cheered. Out loud. High fives. Laughter. Actual smiles for the first time in weeks. One anonymous veteran told a reporter bluntly, "It's about time. We were done playing scared football. Done watching talent rot on the sidelines." Another described the moment with more detail. Phones buzzed. Word spread like wildfire through the building. When that final notification came through, the energy surged. Within seconds, the tense, exhausted vibe that had been choking the locker room for weeks vanished. A young defensive player told a local outlet, "We love Coach Steph as a person. Everybody does. But that Gabriel decision? Nobody understood it. Not one dude. We see what Shatter does every single day in practice. And watching him sit, it was torture. This wasn't just relief. This was a reset, an emotional wipe of the slate. The players didn't see this as a coach being let go. They saw it as a signal. The regime of confusion, excuses, and wasted potential was over. The team had been freed from the fog, and they knew exactly who was supposed to lead them next. And right in the middle of all that chaos, surrounded by celebration, shouting, and media madness, one man stayed quiet. Because the moment that locker room erupted, Shatter Sanders put on his headphones, walked down the tunnel, and said just 4 words that shook the entire room. While his teammates celebrated, while the fan base flooded the internet, and while the media scrambled to update live coverage. Shatter Sanders didn't say a word. No camera crews. No post. No quote a tweet. No drama. Headphones in. Expression calm. Body language locked in like a sniper. He walked through the tunnel like a man who'd been waiting his whole life for this exact moment. One teammate described what happened next with chills in his voice. Shedeur passed a group of wide receivers milling around in the hallway. Guys who had just been high-fiving and joking about the chaos inside. He walked up quietly, looked them in the eyes, gave a simple nod, and said just 4 words. "Let's get to work." That's it. That was the speech. No gloating, no celebration, no, "I told you so." Just focus, just fire, just straight business. And they felt it. Everyone felt it. By the end of that afternoon, it was everywhere. Number Shatter Time was trending across sports media faster than any rookie QB had ever taken over a narrative. Nike reposted his latest ad with one simple caption: "The future belongs to those who are ready." Analysts called the move inevitable. One of the worst-kept secrets in the NFL. The switch that might save the Browns' entire season. Quarterback controversies vanish when the locker room speaks, and this one shouted. The leaders, Garrett, Amari, Denzel, Chubb. They all saw the writing on the wall, and they weren't complaining. The vibe wasn't just different, it was electric. But the real question isn't whether Shedeur's ready for this, it's whether Cleveland finally is. The Cleveland Browns had to hit absolute rock bottom before they could finally see the truth. A stubborn coach, a divided locker room, a wasted offense, and a fan base on the edge of total revolt. It all built up, week after week, until the collapse in Foxborough made it impossible to ignore. This wasn't miscommunication. This wasn't a slump. This was leadership failure. And in the NFL, failure gets replaced. Fast. Kevin Stefanski's fall wasn't about just one quarterback decision. It was the explosion of problems that had been smothered under excuses all season long. And when it blew, it took the old regime down with it in 10 minutes flat. But sometimes, it takes a disaster to open the door for rebirth. And right now, that door swings wide open, with Shedeur Sanders standing in the center frame. Not just as the backup waiting his turn, not just as the popular pick, but as the calm inside the storm, the leader this team has been starving for. He's already won the building. He's already captured the fans. And now, he's got the keys. The future of the Browns will be written by what happens next, but one thing's certain. It won't be the same team that walked into Foxborough. Because chaos forced their hand, and through the smoke, Cleveland might have just found something they've been missing for decades. A quarterback that makes the city believe again. If you want to see how Shedeur's debut plays out and whether he can actually turn this ship around, make sure you're subscribed. This story's just getting started.